in Martin Windybank. What a great day it's been already, and we now are ready for what I would consider the greatest poet in Scotland. Get ready. This is time to sit down, take a wee breather before Bombskare get you dancing again. I just want you to sit down and enjoy this moment. These are amazing words of imagery. Maybe not always for kids, but it's up to you. But it's real. This is realness. So we're going to cut away for 40 seconds, and then we'll be back with the brilliant Victoria McNulty, and then Bombskare. Thank you.
You call that radio?
You call that radio?
What about the people who hate it on me?
Right, and then I see the disinfectant that knocks it out in a minute.
That's mad, isn't it?
Is this a Netflix thing?
It's actually a podcast.
What the fuck's a podcast?
You know, it's kind of like a radio show.
Oh, that! Radio!
Yeah.
Just popped in there.
And is there a way we can do something like that?
I couldn't help it.
By injection inside or
Yeah, I think so, because I think just paint in general, because I think like my poem is in my painting.
No, cut. Call that radio TV, live from Captureworks. Now for something completely different. Get ready, sit down, and welcome the brilliant Victoria McNulty to the stage.
I was bathed in some Sandinista tear, then birthed in a pool of hope over fear, and I was shaped like some suffragette that was fresh from a horse fight. I pound pavements marred as car bombs and marched with my collar starched by marks, and the syndicalists who were stricken beneath olive branches. My branch begins at Barrowlands, etches its way east opposite Rivermouth towards Red Roads and Sight Hills, where I'm bouldered by rubble and I'm watched by the watchful. So I'll shed a tear for our tearful, and in my youth we'd meld masonettes with ashtrays, stolen cigarettes, swings on monkey bars and burned out frames, games, a Kirby beneath sodium streetlights. The scheme in my dream rests in my mouth and fizzles in palates murmured by shame and education and rudimentary Gaelic. So one day when the air is thick and the East End is slick like this mafia back home, all straight walls and vintage stalls and falafel, I'll imagine this place in our Thatcherite grey like some bleary apparition, and I will never be able to celebrate her at all. But in the beginning, there was only flesh, stew and pump and sodium, sex. He gave his ribs and her a seed, and they were equals. Fingers climbs mountains of bones and breasts, brows soft and lips wet, fingerprints printed the time and space, a slowed breath, a stalled place. And as the equinox streamed, the garden grew wild around them. They looked luminous and pure. So he turned his heels and he ran. Eve now sits in the Calton bar, an aura of colour glass, this tin pot band, the jukebox, a fading shade of deacon blue. This year plods round her ears. You see, nothing ever happens here, so she sinks a stout, holds back the tears. Her fingers form a roll-up, once feasted with labour, now dry with weather. A Commonwealth grey hushes as she steams out the side door. See, there's no Commonwealth round here. And in the summer, she saw him in the bric-a-brac, that George Best photo like the one in his loft, his hair black and soft. She sees him in the lead mirrors, the spotted spectres of smoke and decay. She sees them in the vinyl stalls, the style council singles, the coal thick walls. She sees them in the bare floorboards, her feet pound again and again. You see, he didn't push her face in the dust, or shame her, or call her a slut. He didn't slice her, or maim her, or shackle or tame her. He just saw the fruit so full and ripe, and was told if he turned his back, the world would let him have it. So she became Cain, and not able to leave. Lost amongst the hubbub, the artist studios and pop-up pubs, she shed her skin as the private lech strangled the foliage. The pub shutters were down. Her hair in a bun, she looked up from her phone, and he stood there in gantry lamplight, all freckled and bright, and in a sea of rigger boots he flexed his arms and pulled her through. He said, "Eve, I want you, so come with me now." She visioned her fingers being bled yellow with matchsticks, being buried in the sand and pelted with bricks, and how she'd wept blood as she was chained to the toll booth, a fishwife. She's been fucked by presidents, indentured and chained. They sold her body and silenced her name, her tongue sliced out in a famine. To walk this stretch of boarded up pubs and single ends, with the frail and the bruised beside her, coughing up the sins of man. And as the gentry built their walls, the years have weathered her bitter. "I'm not Eve," she said, the black coal in her chest now flaming ashen red for all that's been granted against her, all that he took from her sisters, that time that was not his to steal. "I'm Cain, and I'm not able to leave with you, even if I wanted to." But he wrote, greying concrete mornings, where pills gravel my guts, a warm day dawning, my heels and my hands like gunfights. And in the Jew light, I swallowed that romance. It was a romance made in housing schemes, no grey movie scenes where boy meets girl and a joyride, or girl meets girl and hides a note so sweet that cinnamon can't twist it. It was a sonnet. Love not made in Verona, but sneaky down alleys. You see, I never needed Romeo. I'd rather have Sally. And write love over and over until swaggers can't hide it. When I had my son, I felt it. Pink in my arms, fresh as the fallen snow. I traced his brow again and again. I sang him that waterfall and drowned him in devotion. And as the years went by, it grew. Small hands beat my dashboard, small feet swing Adidas shoes, and his love spreads in tower blocks and other such places. God, it binds my home like glue. So I know Wordsworth and Yeats and Byron and Keats and Plath and Owen and Thomas. But Tennyson can't touch my devotion, and Blake will never paint my town. So every time someone asks me about poets, I just tell them it's Ian Brown. Wet, waxed your jacket. Lightning strike, prayer hands stood tight. Mine's pocketed, scarf Arab strapped round frostbit face. It's football in a tin can these days. My lungs escape me, tear gas breath, the steam rising from a tray of chips ahead. God, I would plough my fingers just to taste that heat. Full time we find our feet, pound streets feels beat, but we are warriors. One goal up in the pub, the mandolin choir rising, steaming windows, dreams of 67. This is the game, my friend. It's not a sport, but a life spent. And we hunt every Sunday, lay out our dead on the Monday's commute. There stands two sun-baked magpies on a suspension bridge somewhere between Govan and the ferryman. Legend has it he patrols these waters in orange overalls, his face overhauled by the bones of some body that he's dredged out of the wharf. The waves dance a murky irreverence. Great vessels were built here, carrying slaves for the Congo, tea stolen for Sri Lanka and China. In later years, the alienated stormed the cloisters, the unions flushed a Leninist red, the working class died with men like them. And now, a lonely ship sails. Oars splashing a paddle as the penthouses stand this ostentatious gleam to attention. Icarus leans over the edge, imagines his torso smashing the silver foamscape below. And he remembers he doesn't have 2 pennies for that crossing. So thank you so much for listening and watching and having me on. I've been Victoria McNulty. This fantastic artwork behind me is by an artist called Kirsten Boyle, and you can find her on Instagram, and she's one of my absolute favourites. My last poem is called Coffins from Derry. 1,000 floods could have burst the banks of that Clyde each day of 1848 had it not been of people. The undead sailed in coffins from Derry. Irish fever spilled from the foil to boil the banks with typhoid, and then the young scratched with fleas for starving rats to be sacked and abandoned in Glasgow's slums. And they were feared and they were greeted by no one. When my family arrived in Glasgow, they didn't flee famine but civil war. Their Gaeltach was already black with Angorta Moor. Their names, warning signs on windows. And then no work or trade gave way to forgotten faiths and altered names and just tags of Tarrier, terrorist, and Taig. And coffins are no made of mahogany today. They're tarpaulin and waves, not Kilkenny's mass graves, but the beds of the Aegean Sea. The road from Damascus stacked with similarities even Saul could see. Flotsam children line beaches, their flesh all bloated and grey like typhus. Their parents' skeleton faces line security gates and fences with wires poked with frail famine hands and lips stitched and stomach pitted as Joe McDonnell or Bobby Sands. Then they want me to say that they're not like us. They don't belong like us. Well, I can never forget that my Scotland is cut from refugees. Know how I'm privileged because my sisters made their journeys for me. So as a child, I watched from couch and TV, miles from pipe bombs and peace walls, and I will not fall silent. I stand tall, and I stand proud, and I stand in solidarity with the displaced peoples residing in Scotland and anywhere, because freedom of movement is a fundamental human right. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, may the peace that can only come from the one God be upon you. We are here to tell the people that we hear you. One God will not allow us and people of conscience to lose our morale.
Powered by our patrons. Incredible stuff there. This is Victoria McNulty. Well done, you smashed that stuff. I was sitting quietly in the corner, just amazing. How weird is it for you to do that with no crowd?
Oh, it's funny how much you actually rely. Sorry, it's funny how much you actually rely on a crowd to give you feedback and like kind of clap you on a wee bit. So
well, hopefully we can get some feedback for the comments. So if you enjoy Victoria, let us know, and I'll try and give you a shout. Kirsty Reid says amazing. Sky is crying. You made Sky cry. God. Petra says amazing poetry. David White says word. Round of applause for Sky. And Sapien says another amazing show tonight, Mark. Quality stuff as per usual. You're setting the bar here, mate. We are setting the bar.
Yeah.
We are setting the bar here, and that's all down to Captureworks and all you guys sharing it and supporting it. So thank you very much. NLTB says, I'd love to send my song to you. You can send any songs or anything you want to you. callthatradio@gmail.com. Captain says, Mark, on the next one, you need to take the gyros up another level. Colin Mustard and the D's on 5 and the Twisted smashed it. Come on, the gyros. So what he's saying is that my band was shite. And he's right, because we were acoustic, and normally we rely on loud guitars and drums, so we didn't have that today. And we will, if everyone supports the Patreon, patreon.com/you call that radio, and the PayPal, which is paypal.me/you call that radio. If you support this, and we will bring the full gyro babies from all the other corners of the earth together and do a show for you with another bunch of amazing bands. I'd love to do nothing more. Also on Facebook, lots of love for you on Facebook as well. We've got Love Hearts from Brian Elliott. We've got amazing poetry. We've got She Is Incredible. So if people do want to hear more Victoria McNulty, what's the best way to do it?
I have a couple of videos online. I've got a book coming out through Speculative Books in October called Exiles. So that's like my first full collection, if you like. So follow them and kind of see the kind of
Speculative Books do amazing work as well. Very worth checking out. Yep, totally. So the book's coming. That's exciting. And on Twitter.
Yep, VMcNulty67 on Twitter.
At VMcNulty67, and you're on Insta as well.
Yeah, my Instagram's not worth watching. It's just pictures of my dog, really, but fair enough.
Also, none of this would be possible today without the crew, the Captureworks crew, who have done an incredible job. Not just today. You've got to remember that this has been weeks and months of thought and hard work